Welcome to the good, the bad, and the sequel with your hosts, Doug and Jamie.
We are back, and this is a movie podcast where we're talking sequels, and we do it in two parts. The first, an interview with an actor, someone involved that made the film worth watching, and the second, a discussion of the sequel, what they got right, what they got wrong, and how it could have been better. Last week, we had the privilege of interviewing Cotter Smith from the hit series on Netflix, Mindhunter. He was so good in the film we're about to talk to today. He was the president in the movie, and he was so important that there's some good stories about him interacting and getting hired by Bryan Singer. So go back and check that out. But before we dive into X2 X-Men United, I got to introduce you to my partner in the sequel watching journey, Jamie Riccardi. Jamie, how you going?
I'm doing good, Doug. How are you doing?
Doing pretty good. This movie, I'm going to be honest with you. Like, I'm not a big Marvel fan. Out of the new movies, I didn't see a lot of them. But these were like when I was like so into it because I grew up watching those cartoons, the X-Men animated series. But I don't know, like this movie, it took me back. It brought me to a good place.
Well, I don't think I've said this yet. And I mean, for most of the movies that we've reviewed, and we've reviewed a lot of them, pretty much most of them were pretty bad. I wasn't a big fan, or maybe a little entertaining. However, I like this movie a lot. I remember it when I first saw it. I like the whole X-Men series, so I did like this movie a lot. So you're not gonna hear that to me too often for some of the movies we review, but.
Yeah, no, it was nostalgic because I remember seeing this in the movie theater. But again, there's obviously parts that we have to that are just don't sit well. What would this come out? 2003, so 16 years later.
Yep.
So let's get this going. So first of all, graphic wise, in the beginning of the movie, that wasn't that good. The opening scene throughout the whole movie, there's a lot of good CGI.
Well, you're talking about the scene inside the White House with
No, before that, the cutaway when it's like when it says again another movie that we covered that just gets right to it. It says X-Men 2, like right in the beginning. No, like kind of like story in the beginning, but no, it's just like cutaways and Patrick Stewart talking.
Oh, had the space, right? It was out of space, right? It was okay. Yeah. No, you're right. I mean, yes, this movie definitely has a lot of good special effects. But the start of the movie was kind of like, I know, just there. Yeah,
I just didn't get why they couldn't. I every movie we cover, I don't know why they can't do that amazing thing. Show a little bit, show something like TV shows. You show a little bit of action, and then X-Men. Like show some kind of like fight scene or like a little bit, because these movies, there's a lot of great characters we'll get into, but these are Wolverine movies. Oh. Wolverine is the greatest out of anyone. Honestly, like I've never seen the Wolverine movies, which is terrible because I love him, but those movies are the best.
Okay.
Every movie that's out now.
Well, okay. So I've seen all the Wolverine movies. I've seen, all the X-Men movies, and without a doubt, you take Wolverine out of any of the X-Men movies, it's a different movie. He's the main star. First of all, he's funny. He's got great one-liners, and he's a badass. And if you could see his growth, because have you ever seen Logan?
No, I want to see that.
Without a doubt, see that movie. Even if you're not, if someone's not a Marvel fan or a superhero fan, that movie is just awesome. It really is a good closure. Anyway, so yes, Wolverine's awesome. However, I did have one problem with him in this movie.
Okay.
His hair reminded me of Ace Ventura when Nature Calls. Like it was like the beginning stages of his look. But if you remember Ace Ventura when Nature Calls, when he's fighting Tommy Davidson.
Oh yeah.
And he misses his hair and he has like the hair sticking up. He looked like Wolverine.
White Devil. And
yes,
whoever's listening, we are covering that movie in the future. We talk to the translator and the Wachachi chief, which is pretty awesome.
Yeah. So, but he reminded me of Jim Carrey. I have to say. So his hair's a little doofy.
Yeah, and so you guys know when me and Jamie record this in the future, we're going to try to do face to face, but right now we just do it like over Skype, and I have a cigar for Logan because he's just such a badass character. I love this whole movie. We'll get into everything, but he is trying to bang Jean Grey.
Oh, well, again, that's from the first one. He had.
Oh no, I know that, but it's just like right off the bat, it's like Is she married to Cyclops, or are they just an item?
No, they're just an item. They if you remember the first one, and I haven't seen the first one in a long time, but there was definitely a triangle of because again, he's the badass
triangle.
Well, of a relationship.
Oh, okay. I thought like together.
No. I don't think X-Men are allowed to do that. But then you also have Rogue, who's a kid who's into Wolverine.
I know that it's okay.
Well, because he saved her in the first one, so she looked up to him. But talk about how badass he is. He's walking around like Alaska, or where were they? Where was he in the beginning of the movie?
Like in the first one? In this one?
In this one, right?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, it's Alaska.
He's walking around in a guinea tee and a leather.
I know.
Jacket. I mean, like it's freezing cold out there, and he's walking around in a guinea tee and a leather jacket. So that's a badass move.
I know. And then right after that, we go to there's like the White House. There's a tour of the White House. People are walking around, and then the guy that we interviewed that I mentioned before that we talked to, who played the president in this movie, Cotter Smith. He is just sitting there walking around, and then who we see, a quote unquote friend of the podcast, a previous episode, our first episode, Alan Cumming is back. He played Loki, another Marvel character in Son of the Mask.
Oh, yep.
And he's back. So this is his second role in the Marvel universe and second role in the Good, the Bad, and the Sequel universe.
And he does a great job. I mean, he's
he's good.
Let me tell you, that first scene when you are introduced to him in the White House is awesome. We talk about special effects, but this scene was great. But I do question the White House security, because when they did have the tour there, they had the one person that was lingering around by himself, who totally separated himself from the tour, that he was able to start walking around without anyone asking him anything.
Yeah, and he looked creepy the whole time. And like he kind of like had his head down. It's like, that's like, come on. And this is after 9/11. So it's every person you have to look at. And the thing that was crazy about this whole scene was that we know his secret powers, but he's German. He talks with a German accent, but his name, I can't think of it right now, is the whitest name. And not a German.
Kurt Von something.
Oh, was Von something? Okay.
Yeah.
I thought it was just like Kurt Wagner. I'm like, that's the guy that lives down the street from me. Like, what?
No, it was like Kurt Von Gert or something, but it was, no, he was German. Yeah.
So then he like beats the shit out of everyone, the whole thing. And Cotter, the guy who played the president that we interviewed last week, told us this scene alone took like weeks to shoot. He was sitting under their desk for a long time. And then you think he's going to kill Cotter, Nightcrawler's on top of him. Then he like stabs a knife into the desk and says, "Mutant freedom now." So then we see Wolverine, like you were mentioning before. He's walking around, cigar in mouth. God, he is honestly in every movie. He is like one of the most badass characters. The first one, we'll go back really quick. Original X-Men, the first scene I think you see him in, he's doing the cage fighting, right?
Cage fighting, correct.
Oh my God, dude. That is like the coolest scene ever.
Well, it is his. I think his backstory is where he was a military guy who was a badass in the military, and then he, I guess volunteers for this.
Does he volunteer? We'll find out.
I think you know what? Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
They talk about it a little bit, but no. So one thing I had to ask you: a lot of the other Marvel movies, and a lot of superhero movies, they play to the comic, right?
Correct.
Why X-Men? No, they don't wear outfits. Where's the Wolverine outfit? The yellow and blue outfit from the video games and the X-Men animated series. That was awesome, man. Just one time. Why don't they ever do that?
Some of them do. I think, I'm trying to think.
I think Halle Berry's the only one that wears She's always talking leather.
Yeah. Well, and Colossus, which I don't understand. They never use them in these movies. He's the one. Oh,
yeah. He's barely in this movie.
He's barely in it. And
he's a kid in the movie.
He's a kid in the movie. And he's awesome. Like from what I heard, him. My brother used to collect the comics, and he was one of he was like the Hulk.
Is your brother an X-Man?
I'm not allowed to say.
Ooh.
But he was in the military, so he might be Wolverine.
Your brother's Wolverine. Breaking news.
But yeah, so they didn't use Colossus. I knew a lot of these characters from my brother when I was younger. He collected comics and he was a big X-Men fan, so I knew some of them ahead of time. But yeah, they didn't use Colossus at all. And yeah, the costumes they had were kind of comic booky, but at the same time, they are kind of lame. Yellow is not really, tough colors. And Wolverine wore yellow in the comics.
Oh no, and I love that.
So
but
I think they really he barely wears the black leather anyway. He's mostly in
Guinea
Guinea tea. So I think it just goes with his personality.
he's like the Italian Wolverine. He is like talking about gravy and sauce and so one thing I had to say about this movie that I remember as a kid and I remembered it, just watching it this week. There's a lot of hot chicks in this movie, and not even like you'd say, oh yeah, they found this model that they put in this movie, which obviously one's a model, but she acted before this. But man, do you have everybody like at the top of the game right there? Holly Berry, Rebecca Romaine, she was still Stamos then, and Femke Jensen, who she was in a lot of movies then. She was in the horror movie in the high school, and then she was in Taken. She was the wife.
Yep. Well, think about it this way. There's now there's been quite a few female superhero movies, right? Can you name it? Can you name an ugly female superhero?
No.
I mean, Wonder Woman, Gale.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, Captain Marvel.
Yeah, she's on the bottom of the food chain.
Well, she's a little older, so
No, but the thing that's phenomenal about these movies is especially this movie. Like you can look at the Marvel movies now. Obviously, like if you go through the cast, you're like, oh, Paul Rudd, all these people are great. But this movie is. You put them pound for pound. This cast is unbelievable. If you go through their IMDb and you look at like I don't know dollars sold for movies they were in, you got Hugh Jackman, Halle Berry, Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, dude, James Marsden, who was like kind of younger in his career here.
Yeah,
everyone in this movie is amazing.
Well, the funny thing is, I think Hugh Jackman might be one of the lower billing stars because what did he make before the X-Men movies? Before he became Wolverine, was he really around that much? Like,
this is something I have later, but I'm going to talk about it now. Do you think when they're on set, Halle Berry and Hugh Jackman are having reminiscent about Swordfish?
Well, when did Swordfish come out?
98, 99.
Okay. So like he's still like, I mean, again, that was a John Travolta movie, right? Was it John Travolta in there, right?
Yeah. So this is like his third big movie, I would say.
Right. So he's still like, based on Halle Berry and Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart, like he still was on the lower end of, well, he's the biggest star in the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I wonder if they did talk about Swordfish.
And he pooped the bed after this because I think right after this movie was Australia, the movie with him and Nicole Kidman, and it was like a period piece and it bombed, like absolute bomb. But I mentioned all these amazing people, right? Brian Cox is in this movie. So Brian Cox, William Stryker.
Yeah.
Dude, talk about a guy that acting chops. He can play the serious guy, the badass guy, and then he can play the sergeant in Super Troopers. Like he can do all of that.
No, he was awesome. I mean, like for a bad guy, he went head to head. I mean, with every X-Men there, and he was he was awesome. He was awesome.
So one scene that was pretty cool, like you introduced like some of the people we saw from the first one, but the student X-Men in the food court.
Which one? The Iceman or the Pyro?
Both guys. How about the Pyro guy? Can you imagine if you're sitting there, you're trying to like hit on a girl, and this guy shoots flames at you, and you're on fire a little bit, and some guy shoots ice at you. All those. That's what I understand about this movie. What happens after that? Is there some kind of quarantine and Men in Black thing? Or are they just going on knowing that these are mutants? Obviously, in the government, they talk about it on the news.
Well, don't forget they disappeared. So when Patrick Stewart came there, Professor X, he came there, he froze everybody.
Oh yeah.
So then he said, I think we got to get out of there. So they all left. So when everybody was unfrozen, no one was around anymore. So now it's like, all right,
They kind of have some idea because obviously in the news in this movie, it's not like a hidden thing like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They're like, oh my God, what's in the shadows? In this movie, it's a big thing on Congress. They're talking about mutant rights.
Well, don't forget the first movie, they saw firsthand all these X-Men.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, it's already been out there. So, but I think their identities were safe because they left, being kids. So, but right from the beginning, though, Pyro, you could tell is going to be a dick. Like, right from the beginning,
You can't control him.
No.
So Brian Cox, the big thing he wants to do, he wants to storm that X-Men school. He wants to go there. And I love when he's talking to not Brian Cox, the other guy that was on Seinfeld. He's in a million things. He was actually in the documentary, the guy from That Thing that was on Netflix and HBO. He says to him, I wrote down the line because it was that great. I was piloting Black Hawk missions in the jungles in North Vietnam while you're sucking your mama's tit at Woodstock. So, dude, talk about a burn. And he gets his way. He has the president's ear, and they're able to storm, the school.
So let me ask you. So the reason why he is angry is because of his son. Is that why he was like? Why did he want to kill all of them? He wanted to kill them all.
Yeah, I think his son was one, and they showed obviously a lot about the son and his relationship, his son Jason, but there wasn't you don't know what went wrong,
right?
So you just know his son had powers, obviously, and then he did that scalpel head surgery to him.
But you don't know his motivation, though. I'm trying to figure out, is his motive is he angry because he seems like a guy that would want to tame the mutants, he would want them for himself.
He controlled a lot of them in the movie.
Who did
he control? Two of them. The
son,
the Asian girl, Kelly Hu.
Yeah, but he created her. He put the whatever that metal inside of her. He created her the way he created Wolverine.
Yeah, but he was controlling Cyclops later in the movie. He put the thing in the back of the spine.
Right, but then why was he trying to kill them?
I don't know, but so what's funny? So right now, this episode is going to be coming out on November 14th. Friday the 13th, we're going to be covering Jason Takes Manhattan. And Kelly Hu, who I reached out to for this movie, she was in Jason Takes Manhattan. It was one of her first movies.
Oh, wow.
So it'd be funny. We're going to see her again. But no, she was awesome in this movie. She was Stryker's right-hand woman. She kicked a lot of ass. And I'm going to say, best fight scene in the movie.
Oh, without a doubt.
We'll get to that later.
Well, just his reaction when he saw her with her claws coming out was awesome. He's like, whoa. Yes. I think he might have been turned on a little bit too, because he's the first one he's seen that is similar to him. So he's like, oh, this is awesome.
I guess that's like a peacock showing its feathers. So Brian Cox, the one thing that was pretty cool in this movie. So Brian Cox, Magneto, I don't know how much government dollars are going to go to this, but he has this cage that's all these wraps around him, these crazy magnetic wraps to keep him in his jail cell. Brian Cox and a cop go in there, and the cop beats the shit out of him.
See, so and I wrote this down. So Magneto technically might be one of the most powerful,
of course,
superhero. He could do anything with any kind of metal. So he's in this, like you said, you describe the cage he's in, all plastic or whatever, no metal whatsoever. They have to scan it. So you got this douchey cop who's coming in there and just teasing him and taunting him, knowing that this guy easily could snap you or do, and we'll see how he definitely gets him later on. But are you going to do that? It's if I visit a jail and I see Jeffrey Dahmer, the last person I want to do is tease him, just because if I know if he ever gets out, I'm going to be the first on his list. Why would you do that?
I love that you go right to Dahmer. Do you have nightmares about Dahmer?
Well, who would you go to?
Who would be my go-to scary person? I don't know. The first thing when you said that, Manson, and he never did anything.
Oh, but Dahmer, who's the one that ate people? Dahmer, right?
Dahmer, yeah.
Yeah, I don't want to be eaten.
Yeah, that's kind of weird. I don't know. Dahmer was a weirdo. So the next thing on my list, I wrote down the sexual tension between Logan. So Logan finally shows up at the house. I love when he shows up. He looks at Jean, which.
Well, who wouldn't?
Oh, she's my favorite.
Yeah.
When I think of I'm trying to think of a horror movie that she was in, The Faculty.
She was one of the teachers, or she was a kid?
No, she was. She was a teacher. No, she was a goody two-shoes teacher, and then once the alien took her over, she was over sexualized with Josh Hartnett. But no, she's they look at each other slow mo, and Cyclops is right there, and I'm like, this is kind of weird. And then I love Patrick Stewart. He's like, oh, Logan, you're here, and then he's like, everybody's gonna leave. You're gonna have to watch the kids. Within 2 seconds, I'm like, wait, Logan is obviously a lone wolf, lone Wolverine, and you're like, hey, watch all these kids that are really important to the future of this organization.
Based on the personality that he has, I would think he would be the last person you would want watching kids. And it's funny. One of the first kids that I was laughing at was sitting at the couch who was changing.
Oh, yes.
So is his magic power just changing channels with his eyes?
I think so. He reminded me of the little dorky kid from Revenge of the Nerds.
He really
He
did.
was his son.
Wormer, right? Wasn't it Wormer or
Yes,
Worms?
the little kid that danced.
Yeah, he looked like.
Yeah, and that was him. Yeah, and then there's other ones that we have the screaming girl.
Yep.
That screams really loud. The one I love, the girl that fell through the couch. She falls through the couch. The army. We'll skip to that part real quick and we'll go back. So then the army, Stryker, his guys are on there, and the girl falls through the couch. She sees more people coming. She falls through another floor. Those are some pretty awesome super.
And I think they're in the comics. Like I know the girl that screams, I think was in there also.
Oh really?
Yeah. So there's a few I think throwbacks. So anyone who's a big comic fan would probably recognize some of these kids as future X-Men people.
And then
really,
Wolverine's like, get away, everybody, get away. How about? So this is what I'm gonna ask. I didn't look this up, and I'm not gonna do it right now because I don't want to have to edit out any pause silence. But Wolverine starts shredding people up, dude. I love it.
And I was surprised because I saw Logan, and Logan's rated R. So they definitely, push the envelope of violence in that movie.
Oh, I gotta watch it.
Oh, it's awesome. So then when I saw this movie, I'm like, oh, it's PG-13. Because I forgot.
It was PG-13.
It was PG-13,
and they didn't show blood.
They didn't show blood, but it was pretty violent. Like some of the kills he does.
But there's no blood.
There's no blood.
It's like imaginary. Like when he sticks the guy through his armpits, and throws him against the wall. You're like, oh my god, this is. I think
the only blood scene was when he got stabbed and you saw a drop of blood land in the water.
Yes.
Yeah, that was the only blood scene. Yeah.
Even when he stabs the guy through his boot.
Yeah.
He stabs the guy through his boot in one scene. And I'm just like, I wrote it down. I'm like, no blood. Why is there no blood?
Go see Logan. They amp it so much.
So Brian Cox, they're in the hallway. Everybody else getting away through a false wall. And then Brian Cox is like, hey, Logan. And you're like, all right. Like you mentioned before, I think he created him. So the Iceman comes out of nowhere. He makes an ice wall. And then through the ice wall, Brian Cox puts his hand on it. Wolverine puts his hand on it. They're touching hands. Do you think this inspired the Disney movie Frozen?
I'm honestly, I thought that was kind of lame. That's
why?
It's kind of soft. Well, again, Logan's backstory is he has no memory of how he was created, why he was created. So a lot of his journey is trying to figure out his whole story.
Yeah.
So, but that puppy dog, touching, that you can't touch someone, you reach out to them. It was just, it kind of was weird. It was almost like a lover's kind of, thing. Yeah, it was very weird. But maybe Frozen was inspired by that.
I hope
Although
so.
I didn't see Frozen. Was there a scene where there was a big wall?
I never saw it.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure I'm going to see it when my daughter gets a little bit.
Yeah, okay. Nice cover.
I watched it last night. So we have our first Rebecca Romaine sighting. I know I mentioned her before. And I love when she changes into the Spanish janitor and she walks out and she walks past the same janitor that she's copying. And he gives this really weird look. And I've had a similar experience. Every time I see Bradley Cooper on TV, I feel the same way.
Interesting. All right.
You don't think so?
No, I don't.
You don't think I look like Bradley Cooper? Who do you think I look like?
Who do you look like?
We're looking at each other right now.
You look more like the Spanish janitor leaving the office than Bradley Cooper.
So Jamie, what wouldn't it be nice to say your daughter or your neighbor was the Iceman and you just had this warm soda. What if you just had warm soda, which is in a high cabinet, which is the dumbest thing ever? Who would put glass bottles in a high cabinet? Wolverine grabs it out and he's like, oh man, I guess it's not cold. And he goes, hey, a little help. And he blows into the open part of the soda.
Well, don't forget, he first asked for a beer,
I know.
right away. And the kid goes, this is a school. He goes, all right, do you have a soda? Yeah, no, I know. And I told my daughter, I go, how cool is that? Imagine having that, but we totally missed the relationship that he has with Rogue.
I know.
They're dating and they can't touch.
That's weird.
Is it worth it? Is it worth dating someone that you're never gonna be able to touch?
I guess so. I guess somebody did John Travolta. Somebody did John Travolta in the Bubble Boy movie when he disappeared on a horse at the end.
Yeah, but I never saw that movie. But was he allowed to get inside the bubble with him?
No, that was the whole point of that in the movie. He was out of the bubble on the horse, and that was the end.
John Travolta was in a bubble?
Yeah, he was in. You ever saw that movie?
No, The Boy in a Bubble, something like that, or is?
I don't know the name of the movie. But
All right. Well, regardless, I mean, I think that you got to put a lot of time into this that you can't. That she has to wear gloves all the time.
I know. And then when they can't, so she wears gloves, which they could still at least touch. It's not the same as kissing. But the weird thing was, he's like, "I'll be okay," and then they start making out, and he's like,
However, you know what though? I think if my daughter's gonna have any superpowers, I think I think that's the one I want her to have.
And that's my next question. So, out of all the superheroes we've seen so far, which superhero power do you think you would want? Like, which one is the best?
Honestly, for my daughter, definitely Rogue, because I don't want any guys, touching her.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so that one. I like Rebecca Stamos.
Yeah, change it into other people.
It could be whoever you want.
That's pretty good.
I mean, that's pretty well. I think it all depends on what do you want to use it for. I mean, for my own personal, just not saving anybody. To me, I think Rebecca's. I think it's the.
Would you change yourself into Rebecca Romaine and look in the mirror?
Why not? I might not even change back.
No, you know which one I think is like honestly out of the people. Obviously, Magneto. We'll get into it. We know what he is already, but Jean Grey, obviously Professor X, he can hear everyone in the world. Like that.
Yeah, but I think that would be annoying.
Oh, I know. It's like the Twilight Zone.
Yeah, so I get rid of that.
Yeah,
he's super powerful, but imagine just like, and then you're hearing you're hearing a lot of conversations you probably don't want to hear. Women talking about shopping or guys talking.
Wait,
about.
Are you talking about the premise from Wet Women 1 with Mel Gibson?
Do you think they got it from this movie?
I think that came out first, but they did. Do you know they made a sequel? What Men Want that just came out recently? I don't know if it was a sequel. It was like
it was with what's their name from the
Empire.
Yeah. So Jean Grey is like the most powerful one. You know her. They just made a movie about her, right? Dark Phoenix.
Oh, that was all about her.
So that's about her. That's the.
I don't want to cut you off, but our close personal friend of the podcast, Richard Norton, did the stunt coordinating for that movie.
Well, that it's about her because she becomes. You notice at the end of this movie, would you see in the water?
She died.
There was an outline when they were leaving the movie. There was an outline of a phoenix in the water.
Whoa!
So what happens to her? This is the comic book geek side. From what I know, that I think she's so powerful and that's why you notice that her eyes turn orange when she gets like really deep into her power. She becomes inside. She becomes like a bad, like a strong, powerful.
Oh shit!
Yeah,
nice.
So if you're looking for power, she's the one. But I still go with I could change whoever I want to be.
That's pretty good. So.
Well, you didn't answer the question.
I said Jean Grey. I want to be her.
Oh, you did.
No, because she's able to not only like move things, but she can hear things too. So she's like a little bit of Professor X and a little bit of like moving things around. Everybody else, like they have good powers, like Storm, which later in the movie.
Well, I have a question.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, but I do have a question about her power, but
we'll get to that.
Yeah, we'll get to that. Yeah, what do you want to move? You said like, you like her power because you want to move things. So that's so you like her because you want to move things?
Storm?
No, you said Jean Grey.
Oh, I just like the way she's able to stop things and she's able to hear people. So it's a combination of both. She's not like hamstrung into like, hey, I have these like hooks, I have these like Freddy Krueger knives coming out of my hand.
Hooks?
She has two powers.
I got you. Okay. All right.
So when they're getting away in the car, when they're going to go up to Boston and go see Jean and Storm, why the hell is NSYNC's Bye 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 in this movie? What the hell? Did your daughter, was she watching with you?
No, she did not.
I was going to say, I wonder if she even knew what that song was.
She might have because I have SingStar and I think it's on there.
Oh, okay.
But my question of when they were driving away. So now they're being attacked by Stryker and all these military people all over the place. They're jumping through windows and they didn't go by the garage at all.
I know.
The one place that they can escape easily with a car, and they were quiet. And then it's like they drove off like nothing.
Yeah, wouldn't you think they obviously stormed the house, but they don't use every guy. Don't they still have guys canvassing the neighborhood or blocking the roads at least?
Yep.
Just in case. And they had some pretty nice cars. And what the hell was it? Whose car was that? Was it Cyclops?
It was because he said that to him. He said,
and then he like punches it. What does that do?
Well, don't forget to begin the movie when he had his motorcycle. Cyclops also has a motorcycle, right?
Yeah.
And he throws the keys to Cyclops and he says, "Fill it up." He goes, "You fill it up." So there's definitely animosity. So I think he probably purposely grabbed Cyclops' card just because he, just a little bit more to him.
So Rebecca Romaine, we see her in the flesh at the bar, and we see that cop who beat the crap out of Magneto, who's like his main guy that brings him food at the prison. So she starts flirting with him. Doesn't that guy have to know like something's up?
Well, doesn't Magneto say something to him later on about that?
Oh, I know. Yeah.
If you ever think a girl like this would go, but that guy was extremely cocky. So I think he really thought that he can get a girl like that.
Well, no, the best, this movie has cool shots. So Bryan Singer, the director, I don't know if he chose it or like the cinematographer, but they had some cool shots. The under table shot when you saw like, that's what's crazy. I thought he was just going to get drugged, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know he was obviously drinking like pills, like little balls, like, because that scene was crazy.
Well, don't forget she, and he when they said, "Oh, she's really good," he goes, "You have no idea." When Magneto said,
my god, I wrote that down.
So she's super smart. Also, she's great with computers. She hacks every computer. She's the one to find. Like, she's awesome. Like, she's a big part of. That's why, like, I think with her powers, she can do whatever she wants. She can get anywhere she wants. And she's super smart. I mean, she's like the best right-hand man for Magneto. Like, he knows what he has with her.
So from that phrase, Wolverine says, "Man, she's good," and then he says, "You have no idea."
Oh, so you think
are they a thing? Yeah, I know. No, seriously.
I don't think so.
Father-daughter relationship? Because they're got to be close. There has to be some kind of. He found her, I'm sure.
Well, I'm trying to think. So, like, they made an X-Men movie when they were all kids. Right?
I've seen that, yeah.
And that's Jennifer Lawrence is that role. And Magneto is younger also. It's played by what's his name?
Fassbender.
Yeah, right. Michael Fassbender.
Yeah, he beats the crap out of all those Nazis.
Oh, that was a great scene.
Yeah,
that was awesome. So I think it's more like he's helped her and she's been by his side the whole time. So it's more like a just respect factor.
All right.
I don't think they're dating.
My fantasy's over. So no, the part when he goes to visit him in the prison. God, when he's did he smell that metal or like the what is it, mercury they had in there or iron? He had iron. Yeah. Like, did Magneto smell it?
Yeah.
I think he probably knew that it was going to happen. Maybe that was something they connived like before he went in. But how about when he was getting scanned?
Yeah.
And it was like, you thought it was like, oh, I thought that was her.
Yeah.
That's why I thought that was a pill to knock him out or kill him. And then when he gets in there and he just like, dude, when it rips him up, that was the only blood that I remember besides the Wolverine one blood drip. The blood was ripping out of his uniform.
And it was like silly blood. It was like bad CGI blood. Yeah. But you know what though? So then I'm trying to think. So why wouldn't she dress like him in the first place and go there?
I think because it would have known maybe.
Oh, so you know what? She couldn't carry anything in there. So
yeah.
Okay.
But then when those balls, and then he was able to control those and shoot them like bullets and keep bringing them back. That's why he might be pretty good because he can use one bullet and kill a million people. Oh,
like I said, he's the most powerful. I mean, you think about the little iron that came out of that guy, yet he was able to create a huge, like it grew. It kept growing and growing, the metal that he was making. I mean, he's definitely badass. He's definitely one of the most powerful ones.
But let's get real. His hat, his little helmet, kind of corny.
Doesn't Pyro say something about that? Or someone? Yeah. It's kind of lame. What do you say? Kind of lame, or
like for such a guy that's such badass, has amazing powers, and he's like got this little helmet.
Oh, you know why he has a helmet, right?
Why?
Because Professor X can't get into his head.
Oh, really?
I'm almost positive that's why he has that.
So why wouldn't all the guys wear helmets?
Well, they're not.
All the bad guys.
Well, then they all look like Magneto. I don't know. I'm almost positive because that's why at the end of the movie when he pointed to his head, his helmet, because he was the only one that was not affected by the when he reversed all the, he was the only one. Oh, yeah. Because that blocks everything. So I'm almost positive that's why he has the helmet.
So we talked about it before. They were going up to Boston, and Iceman, Bobby's from there. So they go to the house, they're hanging out. That's when, Bobby and Rogue get a little close. They start kissing. It gets really weird. So the parents come home. And Wolverine is drinking beer in the kitchen. And the parents like, oh my God, what's going on? What are you doing here? Who's that? That's Professor Logan. Mom, we need to talk. When that talk, if you would have wrote that script, I took that script right now and we read it, and I just took out like mutant for I'm gay. That was that conversation because I wrote down the line. The mom goes, "Have you tried not being a mutant?" It was like the most awkward thing. And the dad the whole time was like, he was like so like flummoxed that his son was a mutant.
Well, yeah, and he said like we always do something like like just, but yeah. Well, you know what? I didn't think about it that way, but yeah, that makes sense.
And he turns the mom's ice into tea. She turns it over, and it's like an ice thing. And then the cat comes out of nowhere and licks it.
Well, don't forget the scene before that. The Wolverine, because he's got such keen senses, he turns around. He thought he heard a noise, and it was a cat. And the cat started licking his claws. But how douchey is that brother?
Oh, dude, he calls a cop on his own. That makes no sense because I guess it was because I was on the news, but that was.
He was jealous. He was jealous. He was getting all the attention.
Oh, dude,
he looked like a total.
He was awesome.
He was probably like a total emo kid. He's so.
When the cops came there, and I love that pyro just went nuts, dude, just blowing up the cars and dude, that was a cool scene. The way it was shot. Yeah. So many cop cars blew up and it's cool the way he can control that power because you think the house would burn down because he shot it in the house. That
I wrote that down. So he had a fireball that went through the house. Yeah. Nothing went on fire.
Yeah.
I don't think he could control. I don't think he could control that. Like he control, where the fire is going but he needs fire to control it. Like he can't produce fire. He needs some kind of fire to make it work. He did not control the house going down. I just think that they forgot about that.
Yeah, it is right about the whole scene. Is that been like fitting that the brother Ronnie like burns upstairs? He's stuck in the house. He can't get down. Because why the hell would you call it on your brother? And then Rogue saves the day because Logan gets shot in the head. Was that weird? I thought he was like, I know he has the claws, but I thought he was metal throughout his body.
He is.
How did he get shot in his head? He was dead.
Oh, no. Don't forget, he has metal in his body, so he can't die, right?
He was dead.
No, it knocks him out. Like it knocks him out, and then he heals. So like
okay. So I thought her touching him.
No. So like even when he gets stabbed, even at the end of the movie when he's fighting, like he gets stabbed, he's like every time he fights, he gets the crap beat out of him, but then he heals. He's almost like the Hulk, and then he gets angry. And then the more angry he gets, So no, he wasn't dead. He just like it hits him. He does bleed. He does, but then it heals, and then he comes back. Yeah, he takes a little nap.
I was kind of worried.
Yeah, no, don't be worried.
No, I thought he had shot in the forehead. I'm like, wait, she's gonna save the day. I was like, all right.
So you thought Wolverine was done?
I didn't think he was done for the movie. I knew as I've seen the other ones, but I was like, wait, he's got shot in the forehead and she saves him. So no, I didn't know he self-healed everything, but
yeah. He self-healed. Yeah.
So so they're in the airplane. That scene we're gonna talk about because that was pretty intense. Storm, the government's like fly to below 20,000 feet. We're gonna take you to the Air Force base, and God, she starts sending in tornadoes. And so, what do you have to say about that?
No, this is later on.
Oh, okay. I think you're talking about tornadoes that were like, but it's crazy. I know the planes are going fast, but tornadoes aren't going to take them out. They're still able to shoot them.
Well, the one question I did have about this. So this is the X-Men's airplane, right? You're going to tell me they're going to have trouble with just a military airplane coming after them? They're not prepared for that. Like they were having trouble with that military airplane that they actually got shot. Right? Didn't the plane go down?
Oh yeah, they got shot. Pyro flies out the back. Nightcrawler jumps out and saves.
Right. So isn't this kind of like why? Like you're gonna tell me like there's other like stronger superhero or like evil like helicopters or planes that you got to deal with. It's just a military airplane. Like they really shouldn't give them that much trouble. This is the X-Men.
No, I know. And you know what's funny? I thought I confused them with the Wonder Woman, the invisible plane, because I thought they were going to go invisible. I was ready for them to disappear.
You just got a lot of Marvel fans angry because that's DC Comics. That's not Marvel.
Damn it.
So now you just created a war.
But I thought it was gonna. Honestly thought I thought she was gonna hit a button and they're gonna go invisible. But no, tornadoes.
Yeah, which were pretty massive. Like those things were like ridiculous.
No, that was cool. And I honestly think it's 2003. So 2002, this movie is getting edited and created. Those are pretty amazing graphics.
Yeah.
Twister came out in 95, 96 and I don't know if they looked that good in that movie. No, that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I love that the good X-Men and the bad X-Men are working together to save Professor X.
Well, we talking about Magneto.
Yeah.
Well, no, but
And Rebecca Romaine.
he's technically good and bad kind of thing. Like he's all for mutants. He hates humans because of the way they treat, the mutants. So, but he does things unorthodox where, like, because him and Professor X kind of grew up together. Like they were friends when they were younger.
Oh yeah, they were buddies.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think so. He's not really bad, but he doesn't like to follow the rules. He wants to do his own, But I think Professor X thinks he's way too powerful to be like a rogue kind of thing. But he also, when they're on the plane, he sees something in Pyro. Like he has that conversation with Pyro, and which will foreshadow later on.
Yeah.
But he could tell, like, yeah, he's definitely more evil than
yeah. So they're figuring out who's going to go into the Air Force base because that's the whole point. They're trying to find William Stryker's hidden base that's underground under a lake. So they're like, Wolverine, you know this place. You were there one day. That's where you're created. That's what Magneto says to him. So I thought it was him. Really? Did you think it was him?
No.
Oh, the whole time.
Did I think who's who?
No, when Wolverine walks up and the guys come up with the guns.
Oh, yeah.
And they're like, come with me. I'm like, oh my God, it's Wolverine.
Yeah. No, of course.
And then when he starts doing flips and it's Mystique, holy shit, that was cool.
And again, look how and she slides like the Indiana Jones through the doors, and she's giving them the finger, and then she's awesome. Like I'm telling you, like she's like super powerful. She's been great, And then
everybody else breaks in, and then that's where we get a really cool kind of fight scene that doesn't last too long. But Cyclops is being controlled by Stryker and the government, and dude, he starts firing the laser eyes at his girlfriend, quote unquote, and that's why I think she has wild powers because she can hear people. She can stop those, the laser blasts. Like,
no, she's super powerful, and she totally blocked them. Yeah. How about when Magneto pulled the grenade pins?
Oh, dude, that's the best.
How awesome is that?
Yeah, they're just standing there. And you just see the pins start coming out, and they start blowing up. And then right after that, this is what we were talking about earlier, foreshadowing Kelly Hu, who played Stryker's right-hand woman. Dude, that was an awesome fight scene.
Did her blades look a little different than his, though? They look like
definitely. Yeah.
They're like thinner. Like they look like more
newer model.
the newer models.
No, but that was such a cool fight scene.
That was awesome.
He has her in the water, and you think I love any fight scene when obviously she's not like the final bad guy, but she's pretty much the final bad guy in this movie, right?
Yeah.
And you think like, oh, they're dead. It's over. Like Scream, all those horror movies, you think they're over, and you have that second. She's in the water, he's laying on top of her, and then she just pops through and it just keeps going, man.
Well, don't forget, she's indestructible too. So she has the healing as well. So I mean, and he got how many times did she stab him in his back?
Oh, I know.
He kept slicing him and dicing him. I mean, that was that was awesome. I mean, that really was awesome.
When she died, she had purple coming out of every hole. She said purple ooze. So from the mud bath, I guess, or that's what's running through her body?
No, so that stuff coming out of her was the titanium stuff or whatever it's called. What's the metal stuff that's in Wolverine?
So Wolverine has purple in him?
Well, it's not purple, it's gray.
Oh, I thought it was purple.
You didn't have your glasses on. No, it's the metal that's inside them. That's what was created. That was what was put in both of them to make them. So what he did was he jacked her up with so pretty much made her like a statue. Inside, which is pretty awful way to go.
No,
because even when she went back into when she died and went into water, she clumped right down to the bottom of the thing. So
they're getting out of there. Wolverine has like kind of a heart to heart, I guess, with Stryker.
Okay, so he ties him up, correct?
Yeah. Yep.
Was that the worst tie job that he's ever done? Because didn't Stryker escape from there?
Yeah.
But the heart to heart again. This is the guy that, I don't know. I was a little indifferent about this. What was your thought?
So I was expecting like a little bit more. I know obviously he's like an older guy. Stryker's 50s, early 60s. I was expecting like kind of a battle or something, but it really was nothing. I thought Wolverine was gonna, I don't know, for what he was put through, and then he's like, you chose to do this, and you're like,
well, I think the problem is one, he doesn't have any powers. So how can they really battle?
Yeah.
You know, like he's a human, he's a nutcase, but he doesn't have any. So really it'd be a no brainer, and again, I think Wolverine really, he is a good guy. He probably only wants to kill if he has to. I don't know why he kept him alive though, because he has a lot of anger towards him. But I didn't expect a battle, but I expected him to maybe kill him, or
me too.
or maybe chop an arm off.
Yeah, I guess if it was if this is Logan and it was rated R, like if they did a rated R version of that, he probably would just stab the shit out of him.
Just watch the movie.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
So then the plane's getting ready to go away. Jean Grey.
Well, you know what? Before he goes up there, Logan walks over with a kid in his hands that he's holding that has like a purple tongue, and he goes to Stryker. Right? Wasn't that when he went?
Yeah.
Why would he risk bringing the kid over there? Like, you don't know. Like, I mean, again, you're bringing him first of all to watch like the guy Stryker being strangled. I mean, like he was being like torn apart.
I was thinking, was that Jason? Was Jason brought back to being a kid?
Oh, I don't know. No, I don't think so. No, because that kid was at the mall, right? Remember, or when the girl was eating ice cream and she stuck her tongue out, and then the kid stuck his tongue out, and it had like the like the snake tongue.
Yeah.
But I was just curious why would he bring him? The kid's he's holding the kid, so he's obviously hurt. Why don't he bring him right to the plane? Why is he dragging him into the snow to go see Stryker? What kind of
That's kind of sick. Wolverine wants to get that kid angry at the government.
Yeah.
And that was weird. Why would he have done that?
Yeah. That was weird. Well, that's your babysitter for you. See, that's why he's not a good babysitter.
He is not a good babysitter. Professor X should not have left him in charge. No, but there's some scenes like, here's one thing I want to say this movie. We're not at the end yet, but we're getting close to it. This movie could have been cut down. All right. Great movie. It was like 2 hours and 14 minutes, 8 minutes for credits, which is kind of wild. Like there's that many people you have to thank.
Yeah. And
that was kind of weird, that part of it. But I think they could have cut down some of it, like the whole like Professor X, Jason stuff. They showed a lot of that.
Well, you got to understand, take a look at the Avenger movies. These movies are like 2 to 3 hour long. When you have that many characters, I think it's hard to cut it down because you're going to be cutting out. Like if you really take away this movie, to cut it down, the Professor X and Jason, that's a big part of what's going on. It's what Stryker's whole thing was, to find all these mutants and kill them all. So they had to do it that way. So like it felt longer than it should have been, but I don't know, when you have that many characters, it's very hard to cut it down.
Yeah, that's true. I just thought it was just like a little. I'm like, all right.
That was. Well, what you take to me, if you just have Wolverine scenes, I'm happy. So,
Wolverine and Jean Grey. That's it. Get Cyclops out of this movie. So Jean Grey, she saves the day. You mentioned you did some foreshadowing. She dies. She saves everyone, all the mutants that are on the ship, on the plane, and
okay,
that sucked. It was weird.
It was, but see, here's where I have the problem now. So you have a dam burst.
Oh yes, okay.
Tons of water. Now you have one Iceman who could freeze that water, so it's not coming out, and then you have Storm who can make it sunny or whatever. Like she could control the water. Like can't she? Like she's
tornado. She could use it. Almost
like,
tornado.
Right. So why not use both of them and stop the problem?
Oh, dude, that's good.
Right? I mean, really, you have the Iceman who can freeze it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that I don't know. That I was like, why? But I guess they had to have a dramatic death.
And I thought she was going to make it through. She's standing there, and then once she was covered, and they're like, she's gone. I'm like, and then Wolverine's like, all right, she's gone, man. And then he's moving on to the next girl because he was basically telling Cyclops, all right, that ass is gone. I can't do that anymore. So,
you know what? You just reminded me of a scene that we totally overlooked.
Oh, what was that?
When he was in a tent and
Rebecca.
Oh,
yeah, I know. That was
so. So I mean, wasn't that creepy? Like, did you really? You thought it was her, right? You thought it was Jean?
Oh, I thought it was. Why wouldn't I?
And I seen the movie, a long time ago, and I thought it was Jean Grey. I totally forgot that she does that. And but then again, you got to feel bad for her. She looks like a reptile all the time, and no one loves her. And she wanted a little attention.
He should have just been like, "Hey, turn to Rebecca Romaine Stamos,
and then
fine." And then I wrote this down. I was like, they're both grieving because they both love her, Wolverine and Cyclops. And I'm pretty sure they're Eskimo brothers because they both did something with her, right?
I don't know how far Wolverine did.
Second base?
Maybe. But maybe. But they meet again in the third movie.
Oh.
And someone doesn't make it.
Ugh.
Yeah.
So one of the coolest scenes of this movie, obviously the first scene's pretty cool, but the end scene was really cool because it reminds me of 16 years later, everybody's like, oh my God, the Avengers, all these people were in the same room. Honestly, if you go back star power wise, I know because of the Marvel movies, these people are so big, but these people were, besides Hugh Jackman did a lot after Wolverine, but and some of the other people, but all these people are huge.
Well, you know what? Let me tell you something. The kid who was Iceman, he was in the show The Following.
Oh, I loved him, yeah.
And they were at the same time. So I think they got him from The Following to go in this movie. So it's
The Following's not, what are you talking about? With Kevin Bacon?
Yeah.
It show's from like 3 years ago.
No, it's not.
6 years ago? 7 years ago?
He wasn't in The Following when he made Ice. He was in something else. That's why they found him. I almost. All right, maybe I'm wrong. All right.
No, The Following definitely in my life. I think of me and my wife Jamie, and we've been together 8.5 years, and we watched The Following together. No, they didn't find him from this. They might have, but they were like, "Hey, you're an Iceman 9 years before." But no, that's what I knew him from. So that's why I watched this movie. I'm like, holy shit, he's like so young. And even in The Following, he looks like a super young guy. So I don't know how young he was in this movie, but that final scene of that movie when the president's giving the speech, everybody freezes.
Yeah.
That was cool, man.
It was cool. And then you see the lights just come, like you see shadows, like you don't know what you're looking at. And all of a sudden the lights come on, you see them all standing there. That was awesome.
So cool. Yeah.
That was awesome.
Especially who those people are when you think about it. Like even when I interviewed Cotter and he talked about it, like these are like British royalty. You have just think about Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen in one scene.
Yeah.
Just those guys alone. Then you had everybody else. It's unbelievable.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
So that's it. And then 8 minutes of credits.
And I'm watching the credits, and my son's sitting there. I go, "You think there's an end credit scene?" He goes, "Dad, this came out like 20 years ago. Like they didn't do it back then. So I shut it off. So I don't know if there was, but I don't think there was."
Oh damn! I wonder when the first time they ever did that was.
That'd
be some good research.
I know the first time.
When?
Spaceballs. No, or was it Wasn't it? It was a Mel Brooks movie. Oh no, it was
History of the World, and it was History of the Part 2. We're Jews in space.
Whoa.
We could say it. Mel Brooks said it.
Okay, all right.
But no. You know what's funny? Yeah, it was after the credits. It was a short credit.
And then
it went to Jews in space.
And then it was History of the World Part. Stay tuned for it, or to be continued. History of the World Part 2 or something. And it never happened.
God, I wish there was a Mel Brooks sequel so we could cover it.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was X-Men. So Jamie, is there anything you would have changed?
No, I mean, for me, I think the movie's great. It follows the first movie perfectly. I like it. I mean, maybe. I guess because I'm so into the Avenger movies now too. A lot of times in the Avenger movies, you see like individual battles. You didn't see too many individual battles. Like I would like to see Storm fighting someone. I like to see maybe Jean Grey fighting someone alone. Cyclops fighting. Like have individual battles, but now you're adding on another 40 minutes in the movie. So, but that would be cool to see them individually. Instead of just because I feel like some of the other characters kind of push aside.
That'd be good, especially if you cut out like obviously we had to see like the time they found Nightcrawler, but if they would have cut those out and had like a Storm 1-on-1, that'd be cool if they ever had a Storm 1-on-1 scene.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So like that, I would change. Otherwise, I like it. I mean, I thought the movie was very good. The action was great, and I really enjoyed it.
No, I said it before, like when we talked about like just before we started, and I'm like, yeah, but no, this movie is awesome. Just watching movies and like keeping people's attention. I'm not saying this movie wouldn't be great nowadays if it came out, but there was some scenes, not that it was like dead air, but the whole scene with him and Jason, it had to happen, obviously, because you had to have the relationship between why Stryker was pretty much pissed off because his son was a mutant and he like experimented on him afterwards. But this movie's pretty good. So I would say, obviously, if you're a Marvel fan, you haven't seen X2 X-Men United, you got to see it. And you have to listen to our interview with Cotter Smith, because Bryan Singer was a very, very interesting director. And the way he hired him was pretty interesting.
Yeah.
So, Jamie, next movie we're covering is pretty interesting.
Oh, are we doing this next? I can't wait.
So the next movie we are covering, we are going to be talking Jaws 2, and we are interviewing next week Joe Alves. Joe Alves, you might know him from his amazing work on Jaws. He was one of the people that worked on Bruce before the book even came out. He drew and designed Bruce, and then he did production design for the first one, the second one, Close Encounters of the Third Kind, Escape from New York, and he directed Jaws 3D, which is unbelievable that he had the opportunity to do all of that. You have a lot of amazing stuff that he worked on. Jamie, when I told you that we're going to be covering this movie, how stoked were you?
Super stoked. I mean, I haven't seen Jaws 2 in a long time, but I mean, I've seen all the Jaws movies. They're all interesting to say the least, and I'm definitely looking forward to reviewing it.
Yeah, it should be pretty cool. So next movie you're going to be watching is Jaws 2, but tune in next week. We're going to be talking to Joe Alves, director, production designer of Jaws and Jaws 3D. And don't forget to review, rate, share our podcast. Tell your friends. Follow us on all social media at Sequels Only on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. Good night.
Good night.